Hey guys, today we're going to be making our own pinch pot animal out of clay using some toothpicks, popsicle sticks, and our hands. I'm going to start by taking my ball of clay and I'm going to pinch off a little bit and set it to the side. I'll use this to create the features on my animal, like the eyes, the nose, the ears, the tail, whatever I need to add to my animal. Then I want to take the rest of my clay and put it back into a ball and create my pinch pot. I'm going to start by taking my thumb and I'm going to push down in the middle of my ball of clay. I don't want to push all the way through to the bottom of my clay. If I did that, then I'll just create a hole. So now that I've got a starting point, I can take my fingers and I can start pinching all the clay out and create the walls a little bit thinner. You don't want your clay to get too thin, otherwise it's going to be wobbly and it's not going to be very sturdy. I want to try and make my walls even and make sure they don't get too thin. I like to say make sure that your clay is not any skinnier than the width of your pinky finger. So I think that's pretty good. I've got my little basic pinch pot. I'm gonna actually flip it upside down real quick and I'm gonna take my toothpick and write my name very carefully on the back of my pot. I wanna make sure that I don't push very hard because I don't wanna make any holes in the bottom of my pot. So I didn't press very hard, but enough that you can see my name. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to smooth out my pinch pot before I add anything to it. Now you might notice some cracks or just some spots that need smooth out just a little bit. Notice I'm taking just a little bit of my water to help me smooth out my clay. I'm only sticking just the end of one finger into my water so that way I don't end up with too much water on my clay. Otherwise, it's going to make it really messy and hard to work with. So I'm smoothing out the top of my edge, and then if I need to, I can smooth out around the sides as well. Once I have my pinch pot all made and ready to add our features and turn it into an animal, I can start taking some pieces of my clay from my extra chunk that I took off at the very beginning and start forming whatever features that my animal might need. Now I'm going to make a cat, just like my little kitty. So I want to start by creating some ears to go on the very top edge of my pinch pot. So that way the pinch pot is going to be the face of my cat and I want the ears poking off the top. So I'm going to make 2 ears. I'm going to kind of cut a triangle shape. And what I can do, since I need 2 of them, I can make 1 and then I can cut a similar shape one by placing it right on top of a piece of clay and then cutting out the same exact shape. So my ears are the same size and they're the same shape. If I need to patch up my clay a little bit, remember, just use a little bit of water and you can spread them, smooth out that crack and spread out the clay to make it all even. I want to smooth out my edges before I attach my ears and make it all nice, because once I attach them, I don't want to mess with them as much, so that way they don't get ruined or messed up too much. I want to try and do as much of my prepping as possible before I actually attach it to my pinch pot. Now that I've got my 2 ears ready to go, I can figure out where I want to place them, and then I'm going to take my toothpick and rough up the edges on both sides, on the top of my pot and on my ear. We call this scoring. I'm going to take a little bit of water on my finger and I'm going to put water where I added those score marks or scratch marks, and then I'm going to use that to do my slip. It's kind of like glue for clay, and I'm going to put it on there. Whenever I attach 2 pieces of clay, I want to score and slip. This helps so that way the clay is not just stuck on there very lightly. It helps solidify how they are put together, so that way those pieces don't fall off. I'm going to use a popsicle stick to kind of smooth out the seams so that way you get rid of them, and that way those ears are then connected and attached really strongly. Whenever you attach 2 pieces of clay, you have to remember to score and slip. After I get my ears on, then I'm going to move on to adding my tail, my nose, and my eyeballs. Always remembering to score and slip when I attach two pieces so that way they don't fall off. Now that I've got all of my features attached, I want to then go in and add my details like whiskers and some fur texture. I definitely want to add those details and textures last, because if I do it first while I'm attaching things, I might accidentally smooth out my textures and then I'm just going to have to redo it later. So adding the details and textures will always be the last thing that you do. Now that I've got my cat made with all its features and all its textures that I want, we're gonna let it dry, and then we'll come back later after it's dried and paint it with some watercolor paints. When you're all done, you'll have an awesome pinch pot animal that you can use to hold anything you want in it. I can use my little kitty cat pot to hold my jewelry or my keys, or even some candy if I wanted to. I can't wait to see what animal you guys choose and to have some fun with you guys while making our pinch pot animals.